Okay, there we go. Hello. This is Tim. How are you? Book two for June 2020 is We Were 8 Years in Power. Specifically, I'm reading from the essay A Case for Reparations, which I believe he wrote for the Atlantic, but you can find out. I'm pretty sure because he writes for the Atlantic. So, A Case for Reparations, and let's continue. In 1961, Ross and his wife bought a house in North Lawndale, a bustling community on Chicago's west side. North Lawndale had long been predominantly Jewish neighborhood, or a predominantly Jewish neighborhood, but a handful of middle-class African Americans had lived there starting in the 1940s. The community was anchored by the sprawling Sears Roebuck headquarters. North Lawndale's Jewish People's Institute actively encouraged blacks to move into the neighborhood, seeking to make it a pilot community for interracial living. In the battle for integration then being fought around the country, North Lawndale seemed to offer promising terrain. But out in the tall grass, highwaymen, nefarious as any Clarksdale kleptocrat, were lying in wait. 3 months after Clyde Ross moved into his home, the boiler blew out. Boy, I know this. This would normally be a homeowner's responsibility, but in fact, Ross was not really a homeowner. His payments were made to the seller, not the bank. And Ross had not signed a normal mortgage. He bought on contract, a predatory agreement that combined all the responsibilities of home ownership with all the disadvantages of renting, while offering the benefits of neither. Ross had bought his house for $27,500. The seller, not the previous homeowner, but a new kind of middleman, had bought it for only $12,000, 6 months before selling it to Ross. In a contract sale, the seller kept the deed until the contract was paid off. And unlike with normal mortgage, Ross would acquire no equity in the meantime. If he missed a single payment, he would immediately forfeit his $1,000 down payment, all his monthly payments, and the property itself. The men who peddled contracts in North Lawndale would sell homes at inflated prices and then evict the families who could not pay, taking their down payment and their monthly installments as profit. Then they'd bring in another black family, rinse and repeat. He loads them up with payments they can't meet, an officer secretary told the Chicago Daily News of her boss, the speculator Lou Fouchanis, in 1963. Then he takes the property away from them. He sold some of the buildings 3 or 4 times. Ross had tried to get a legitimate mortgage in another neighborhood, but was told by a loan officer that there was no financing available. The truth was that there was no financing for people like Clyde Ross. From the 1930s through the 1960s, black people across the country were largely cut out of the legitimate home mortgage market through means both legal and extra-legal. Chicago whites employed every measure from restrictive covenants to bombings to keep their neighborhoods segregated. Their efforts were buttressed by the federal government. In 1934, Congress created the Federal Housing Administration. The FHA insured private mortgages, causing a drop in interest rates and a decline in the size of down payment required to buy a house. But an insured mortgage was not a possibility for Clyde Ross. The FHA had adopted a system of maps and rated neighborhoods according to their perceived stability. On the maps, green areas rated A, indicating in demand. Neighborhoods that, as one appraiser put it, lacked a single foreigner, or Negro. These neighborhoods were considered excellent prospects for insurance. Neighborhoods where black people lived were rated D and were usually considered ineligible for FHA backing. They were colored in red. Neither the percentage of black people living there nor their social class mattered. Black people were viewed as a contagion. Redlining went beyond FHA-backed loans and spread to the entire mortgage industry, which was already rife with racism, excluding black people from most legitimate means of obtaining a mortgage. A government offering such bounty to builders and lenders could have required a compliance with a non-discriminatory policy. Charles Abrams, the urban studies expert who helped create the New York City Housing Authority, wrote in 1955, instead, the FHA adopted a racial policy that could well have been culled from the Nuremberg laws. So, again, now you know why. And this is still happening. We moved into this house 3 years ago, and they're still redlining. A realtor just basically told me, we went to this house, and they just basically kind of just told us, well, we have houses, and then she started naming all the black neighborhoods in New Jersey. So they're still redlining, and the homes, for the most part, are garbage, packed over garbage. They look nice. They look nice. Some of them look beautiful, but you get inside and they're falling apart. So if you think that this is just in the past, you're wrong. And this is why I think black people are so angry. Thank you for supporting me. Share this, pass it around. I need more support, obviously, for obvious reasons. And until next time, take care of your mind, take care of your body, and please stay safe.